Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to Starbucs, powered by Chris Gates Fitness. I'm your host, Anthony DiNardo. With me, we have Jim Rosati. Jim, happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Good morning. I hope you've recovered from your weekend.
I have. It was a good weekend.
Sort of, as we start 12 minutes late.
Right. Oh, man. But yeah, how's everything going?
Going pretty good. It was a good weekend. The Street Rod Nationals were in town this weekend, so I don't know if you're a car fan at all. I'm one of those guys where like I'll look at a car and I'll be like, that's pretty cool. I don't know a whole lot about cars though.
Right.
But it's something that we do, me, my wife, and we take her father-in-law to it every year here in Louisville. So yeah, we did that this weekend. It was a lot of walking around looking at old cars. So it was a good time.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
back in my day, no, like growing up, we had like a back to the 50s weekend. And then, yeah, Youngstown like had or Boardman had like the Super Nationals and such. And cool. I mean, it's a fun thing
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah. I was at the fairgrounds here, like the state fairgrounds. It's always a big thing. So I mean, it's huge.
Awesome.
We walked around for 6 hours.
I mean, again, certainly something to do.
Yeah. So yeah, it was fun. It was a lot better. It was a lot more fun than yesterday's Pirates game.
That's for sure. Which started
You know
out
what I'll
pretty
actually say? It was actually a pretty fun game. It just ended not great.
It started out fun.
Yeah.
It I feel like there's entertaining games, where like, even the Pirates lose, it's still entertaining. I don't know if yesterday I was so entertained.
It was an entertaining game. It was just it was definitely entertaining. I mean, when me and Doug hopped on that post game show, it was like we are definitely gonna have enough to talk about. A lot
Yeah.
happened. Yeah, it was a very eventful game. So yeah, I mean they weren't able to pull it out. It was a rough weekend for them. That was a series you would have loved to have at least taken 2 out of, like, you needed to take 2 out of 3 that series, and
right.
we'll get to I mean, there are now implications behind losing that series that aren't all that great. And now, they're off today. Thank God, give the bullpen a day off. But now you're going right back to it. You're going right back to another must-win series this coming week.
That's for sure. Jim, BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything online sports betting. Right now, you can receive a 50% free bet up to $250 on your first deposit to bet on anything from the Olympics to baseball to Formula One racing. BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker or unwind with one of our over 150 slot games. Head to the website today, get on the action. Use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% free bet credit for your first deposit up to $250. BetOnline, the game starts here. It was right there. That's what like really, really stunk. We discussed a week ago, how this series, I guess actually was on and it's not live. When you have Mitch Keller and Paul Skeens, you feel really, really good about those two games. Luis Ortiz been pitching well. If he can go out there and do what he can do, there's a potential sweep that can happen. And like that could be monumental for the season. If you could sweep, how big that would be. But just taking 2 out of 3 is fine. You're still making up ground, still a team you need to do so. And Luis Ortiz gave up that 5-inning first inning there. And he looked solid afterwards, but like the damage was done. However, Pirates came back. Then they lost it. You know what? That was entertaining. It sucked. It was entertaining. They had it. They could have won it. But at the same time, you know what, Jim? Mitch Keller, Paul Skeens is coming. I think we said still holds true. You can still take 2 out of 3. You're fine. Mitch Keller comes in. He does Mitch Keller stuff. All right. Now it's Paul Skeens' day. Paul Skeens comes in. does his thing. You're up 4-0. Okay, 4-2. That inning gets pulled. Still there. Still there. You could win this game. And they lose it. And that was deflating. It was just so deflating because it's getting less and less hyperbole, right? But that was for August 3rd. That was as must win as you can be. And you had it. And now 1 out of 3 opposed to 2 out of 3 against the Diamondbacks has, like you said, a lot of implications, as you talked about before.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, the implications behind losing yesterday is you now lost a season series to Arizona, which means, let's say you go into the last day of the year, right? And you're both at 85 wins. Arizona wins tiebreaker, right? So now in order to make the playoffs, you've got to be better than Arizona, who is now 3.5 games ahead of you, which means you need to be 4.5 games better than them. Yeah, it was a frustrating loss because it was a frustrating weekend, and specifically for Colin Holderman. Just all last week, he loses the Houston game, he loses Friday night's game, he loses yesterday's game. We got into it on last night's post game show, like who to blame for this, right? And I think there's blame to go around on multiple people. Like Colin Holderman needs to get the job done, right? At the same time, if you're Derek Shelton, you can't allow the same pitcher to blow 3 straight games in a row. Like that's not something that you can do. Now it was a short bullpen yesterday, so you got all those excuses you can throw in, but like you just can't allow that to happen. You can't put your guy in a situation where he's struggling and he blows 3 straight games for you. Because here's what happened now. Like, if he doesn't blow those games, the Pirates are 59 and 52. That's looking a hell of a lot better than 55, than 56 and 55, which is where they're at right now. 59 and 52, 7 games over 500. That would put them in the 3rd wild card spot. I mean, the Pirates should be riding a 6-game winning streak right now, right?
Can I add to this? You talk about implications, right? What that 59 and 52 does also, Jim, takes a lot of pressure off the wild card because the Brewers have been scuffling a little bit, and the Brewers are 62 and 49 right now. And now at that point in time, you're like, you know what? Division's there also. Like that's a real possibility now. And if you can take the division, that makes things a hell of a lot easier for you. Because it's there. It's there at that point. The Brewers, I mean, they're 4-6 the last 10. I know they've made improvements on their rotation, but we're talking pre-trade deadline. Is this a pretender a little bit? Is that pitching going to hold up? So yeah.
Yeah, if you're 59 and 52, you're 3 games out of the division. You're holding on to a wild card spot. There's a lot of stuff in play. All of a sudden, your path to the playoffs is very clear. Like I can either do this or I can do this. Right now, it's not so clear. Like they just need to start reeling off a bunch of wins. Because at this point, we talked about 85 wins, right? 85 wins means 29 more wins for the remainder of the season. So that means, gosh, I got to do my math here now. So the Pirates currently are projected to go 25 and 26 the rest of the year, which would put them right around 500. Jeez. So if you go 29 and 22, that puts you at 85 wins, right? But we also discussed 85 wins probably doesn't do it with this crop of teams. So now you got to think of 86 wins. That's 30 and 21. You got to go now over a 51 game span. Like, are they capable of doing that? Yeah, but they haven't. Like, they haven't done that yet this year, where they've put together a stretch of games like that. So they're going to have to play their absolute best baseball down the stretch here to pretty much put them in a position where they could sneak in and grab one of those last wild card spots. Not only that, like they need help too. Like these teams that are now ahead of them, they're playing well. They don't play Arizona again. They do play St. Louis, so that can help them. They got these 6 games against San Diego coming up, which are just huge games. Like we'll get to this Padres series, but you've got to win. You've got to win 4 out of 6 against San Diego in this 9-game stretch. 5 out of 6 would be a whole lot better, but you have to win 4 out of 6. If you don't, you've just wasted a 9-game stretch where, yeah, you're still treading water, but you didn't gain any ground on the people that you have to gain ground on. So yeah, they're in a rough spot right now. The title of today's show is it over? I'm not here to declare the season is over. Fangraph's updated playoff odds have them at 11.7%. They were right around 15% at the beginning of this weekend series, so they did drop. And what's interesting about the playoff odds is they have the Pirates as a much more likely to win the division than to sneak into the wild card. And I think the reason for that is there's less teams to have to deal with. You know, in the wild card, it's not a whole lot of games that you're back. You're only back 3.5 games, but you can make up 3.5 games on one team. It's hard to make up 3.5 games on like 3 teams,
right?
Because then you need 3 teams to play that much worse than you, and that's just a difficult thing to do because it's out of your control at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Again, it's not so much hyperbole. Like this was a big weekend. And going back to your point about the 85 wins, like 85, it's close. We debated and it's not live. But the thing is, 85 is almost like, okay, you and Arizona get 85 and you get in. Like if Arizona gets 85, which is very competitive, you have to get 86. So like now at this point in time, like it definitely is 86. Because 85 might be just enough if you had won this series.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, yes. If you'd won this series, 85 might be enough. Right. But now it's probably not.
So it gets tough. There's another. I mean, we talk about this tough stretch. Houston was the first step. Arizona, that was a big one. They lost it. And again, it's not that they can't recover it, right? It's not like the season's over per se, but this is a big one. Because you can't. And the thing is too, like you had your horses. This Padres one coming up again. We'll talk about a little bit more. They're not here for that one now. So can you take 2 out of 3 without having Paul Skeens and Mitch Keller? That's going to be a tough challenge. But then you got the Dodgers. At least you have them, there. But still, it's tough because the Dodgers, they're going to win the division. They're not a wild card team. Padres, they are. This is the one you have to do damage against. So, anyways,
yeah, I think you like the part of having your horses, right? That's what's frustrating, and it seems like it happens with Skeens a lot more than it happens with Keller. But they seem to waste a lot of Skeens performances. And yesterday, I wouldn't necessarily say like the offense didn't waste it. Like they scored 5 runs. Like I'm not gonna. The offense wasn't the issue. Hasn't been the issue really for a while now. I think they had one of the top offenses in July. So far through August, they're scoring runs pretty consistently. Right now, it's the bullpen. That's the problem right now, and that's a little bit it's a little concerning because you need to rely on them down the stretch here because the starting pitchers are still performing fairly well, and you just it sucks having that lead so close to the end and then blowing it. It just makes it tougher on us fans because like you feel good. Oh my God. Crap. Right.
Right.
And that's kind of
or
how
like on Friday, then you start feeling good again, and then immediately it's crap.
So that's where it's been. And again, Holderman, he's had 3 starts since coming out of the All-Star break. All 3 of his starts have been pretty good. He's given up 5 runs in those 3 starts, and the Pirates have lost 2 of those 3 games. So yeah, rough weekend, rough week. Again, they went 3-3 last week, but that's just all that's doing is like keeping them in it. You've got to gain ground on these teams because you're running out of time. Like the amount of games remaining goes down every day, and every day that you don't gain ground on teams is a missed opportunity. And they had the chance to gain ground this week. They played some pretty good baseball, and it was just Colin Holderman, unfortunately, unraveled. He just absolutely unraveled this week. Oh, he went 0-3. One guy went 0-3 this week.
Yep. And I did want to talk about him a little bit here.
Yeah.
Because I was on Twitter making some of my points here about how, and what I want to put out here and make sure everyone understands is like, it is true. Pretty much, I mean, your favorite relievers go through very bad stretches. And that's the point I was making and emphasizing here. I'm not ready to just give up on Holderman and say he's a terrible reliever and this is it. Can't have any faith in him. He's done. He's cooked, like a lot of people were doing. And again, to point out, like Bednar had that terrible stretch early on. Aroldis Chapman we thought was cooked and done. And again, like he's been nails in a big part of this team of why they've been, winning ball games of late. And Carmen Majinski, like when he first got called up, just looked terrible. And we're like, man, we made a mistake. Maybe he's not a bullpen guy. Maybe he's not a, major league pitcher. And then he had that like 22 inning stretch of like one earned run or something like that. I mean, he's been also nails, right? Like it happens. You get your favorite relievers, Josh Hader, like just got to go down the list, right? That they all do it. That's the point being made. Like every reliever has a bad stretch, but what you also have to do is recognize it. Colin Holderman is having his bad stretch, and especially after blowing it
Wednesday, Friday, Sunday.
How on Sunday do you do that? That's where I'm at. Like how on Sunday, that was my beef. I don't have faith in him right now because Colin Holderman doesn't have faith in him right now. You got to get him right before you start putting him in that, that position. Again, like go to like Chapman. When Chapman wasn't performing well and he was walking everybody and not looking good, what happened? They didn't put him in that role. Colin Holderman came into the ascension. He took over that spot once again. You have to understand that and recognize that. And that was my issue, I guess, is why I would have put in Beeks that point in time. You got to get him out of there. You got to get him right first before you start trusting him again in that role. Like I understand Shelton's point of view. Hey, he's been excellent this year. He got us here. That's the role he's been doing and succeeding in. You are correct. But right now he ain't got it. And you have to recognize that and manage it better. And that's my thing. Like that whole point of what I said wasn't to excuse him to just continue being bad and being a terrible reliever. He has to not be. But like you have to recognize he is in this stretch. Get him right. So that way he can come back and be your Colin Holderman for the rest of the year. Yeah. Blowing those 3 games is unacceptable. But it's also like it's on Shelton.
It's on both. Yeah. And at the end of the day, Shelton's
it is on both.
Shelton's in charge. He's the one who's making these decisions. He's the one who's supposed to be putting these guys in their best situation to succeed. And he put Holderman in a spot yesterday, in a big spot yesterday, while he's struggling against a team he has struggled against mightily for a week. I mean, that's Arizona in particular. The Pirates won a game earlier, too, that Colin Holderman was awful on. They won a game in Arizona that Holderman gave up 3 runs and 2 homers in. They barely squeaked it out in extra innings. So, like, this isn't new. That wasn't just this series. He's been wrong for a while now, and against Arizona in particular, he's given up 7 runs against Arizona in his 3 innings against the team.
Right.
So, yeah, not a good move. It's just frustrating because like if Aroldis Chapman was available, which it looks like he was because he was warming up in the 8th inning. If Aroldis Chapman was available, why don't you go to Aroldis Chapman against Peterson there? Why isn't he warming up? You went out there and got Jalen Beeks so you could put him in a game against lefties too. I know he's pitched 2 games in a row, and you don't want to pitch your pitchers 3 games in a row. But if there was ever a time to do it, it was then. Like, that was the time to break the rule and say, okay, you're pitching 3 games in a row here. This is a pivotal moment of our season. We need a lefty in here. Now, granted, he would have pinch hit for Jock Peterson. He would have immediately pinch hit Randall Grichuk for Jock Peterson. Which is, yeah, it's fine. Like, you got Peterson out of the game. You got their main weapon out of the game. Now you're facing a lesser hitter. You feel better about that matchup than you do Holderman, Peterson. And there was a comment here made that, Holderman was squeezed. He made a really good pitch. Peterson just put a good swing on it. I get that. But like, you got to be better. You can't lose in that moment. Like, I know sometimes you make your pitch and the hitter beats you. That was a moment where you couldn't let that happen. Like, you had to win that battle, and he lost. He wasn't good enough. He needs to be better. I don't care what the umpire was doing. I don't care that he made a perfect pitch. And it was a good pitch. Like, it was 100 miles on the outside, 100 mile an hour fastball on the outside corner. It was a good pitch. But, like, you got to win those. You can't lose. And he lost.
Yeah. Yeah. So at this point in time, again, you just can't just keep putting Holderman out there in those situations. Not at this point.
No, in my mind, Kyle Nicholas has passed him. Like, if you need
crazy
to,
that I'm saying that.
You're setting up 7, 8, 9 or whatever. It's Nicholas, Chapman, Bednar.
Yep.
Especially with Majinski hurt, like, Majinski being out is also, like, that's a big injury for this team right now. It's affecting them in a few ways. But yeah, right now I trust Nicholas over Holderman.
Again, yeah. Oh, tough weekend.
Yep.
Tough weekend. All hope isn't lost. Is it over? I mean, the question or the answer is technically no, it's not. But this has those vibes.
It has those vibes, but at the same time, like I said, they still have a chance to do some damage. They need to gain some ground here. Like, this is a big 9-game stretch. San Diego, LA, San Diego.
Yep.
If you go 6-3 here, then all of a sudden you're like, all right, we're probably in okay shape. We're within striking distance. But if you go 4-5 here or worse, again, the math just starts not mathing very well at that point.
Right.
So.
Yep.
All right.
More baseball. We'll find out. Before we do so, let's go and bring up Murphy, right?
Let's do that. Before we do, today's show is sponsored by the Online Fitness Training Camp presented by Chris Gates Fitness. Training Camp is an online fitness community designed specifically for sports fans to help you get results with your health and fitness without cutting out everything you love, like drinking beer or tailgating at Pirates games at PNC Park. In Training Camp, you'll get all the support you need to build muscle, burn fat, and stay consistent with your workouts. And at the same time, you'll instantly join a community of like-minded people doing the same thing. With Chris as your coach, you'll get top-notch guidance. In addition to being a massive Pittsburgh sports fan, Chris has been coaching people online since 2018, and his clients consistently get results by implementing a flexible approach to diet and exercise. I've lost almost 40 pounds now just working with Chris. So he's been awesome for me. So if you're interested in getting brand new workout programs every month so you can achieve your health and fitness goals, if you're interested in fitness challenges every month to help push you to develop healthy habits, if you're interested in challenges within the Training Camp community, like a weekly football pick'em where you get to compete with other members and score awesome prizes, you get access to live Q&As where you can get direct personalized support from Chris with your health and fitness, and the support of a community of people there to encourage you every step of the way. Visit chrisgates.com/training camp. The link is in the bio, in the description, or click the link. Yeah, or click the link in the description to learn more and sign up today. If you use the code Starbucks, STARBUCS, you get your first month half off. So again, chrisgates.com, chrisgatesfitness.com/training camp. promo code Starbucks for half off your first month.
There you go. Awesome. Well, are we ready to talk some prospects?
Let's do it.
So, as we have every week, Anthony Murphy from Bucs On Deck. What's up, Anthony?
What's going on, guys?
Good
Same
morning.
Yeah, we all
How
recovered
doing?
well from yesterday.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not DiNardo. He was a little late this morning, but yeah, let's talk about the prospects. I don't know if you want to get into it, but we did have some promotions over the week.
Yeah.
So Thomas Harrington and Bubba Chandler both promoted to AAA Indianapolis, so they're both one step closer to the major. So that's awesome to hear. You love to see them kind of get to that last step, and it's going to be interesting to see how they do in Indianapolis. All of a sudden went from like a beginning of the year, a very uninteresting team. And now after the trade deadline, after these promotions, they're probably the most interesting team in the organization. So yeah, let's kind of just talk about who performed this week.
Okay. Speaking of that, Bubba Chandler definitely earned his way up to Indy with that last start. Another 7-inning no walk performance. I think that's at that point that's kind of like the key thing for me. Is just him limiting the walks. He's only 4 of the last 26 innings that he's pitched. Just everything's kind of just clicking there now for him. Fastball's working. The breaking pitches are looking a lot better. The changeup is like I feel like multiple times now you kind of see like the other people who are watching the game they'll mention the changeup and something like that as like oh wow, this has really become a weapon now and stuff like that. So yeah, very, very, very deserving of the promotion, and it's exciting to see him, like you said, one step away now from the majors.
Yeah,
I think it's the biggest thing too, is just how exciting it is. Like he's right there.
Yeah,
It's no longer like Bubba Chandler, the near future, but still the future. Like he's right there now. This is becoming a true reality of him being a Pittsburgh Pirate.
Yeah,
and as we've kind of seen, like once pitchers show that they're ready in AAA, the Pirates haven't necessarily been holding them back. Like if a pitcher shows they're ready, they call upon them when needed. So yeah, it's fun to see 7 strikeouts in his start this past week, 7 innings, no walks, like you mentioned, just 3 hits. What an outstanding season he had in Altoona, especially with like he went through some rough patches too with the injury going down. His command was off for a while there, and then really ever since like the end of May when he came off that IL stint, he's been really good. So well-earned promotion for Bubba Chandler. He is the number 1 prospect in the organization. Depending on what publication you look at, he's top 30 overall. And even that I think is too low. Like I think like you could make an argument for Bubba Chandler being the best right-handed pitching prospect in baseball right now. And it's you'd have to make a case, but like no one's going to laugh at you
he's gaining ground quickly on anyone who was pretty far ahead of him at the beginning of this season. I would say. So.
I got a question for you, and this is just we've never seen the Pirates do this, but Bubba Chandler should have plenty of innings to throw this year. Come the end of this month.
Mm-hmm.
If the Pirates are still in this thing, do you just say, "Hey, screw it, Bubba, September call up, pitch in the bullpen, be a weapon for us"? I mean, is that outside the realm of possibility? Can Pirates fans just say, you know what, that's not happening, or is that something that could possibly happen? You think?
Well, I mean, I know I've mentioned it on here a couple times. It kind of feels like we're in like the uncharted water kind of thing when it comes to the Pirates, because like I said, beginning of the year, we would have never assumed Jared Jones had a legitimate shot at making the opening day rotation. zero shot that like someone like Paul Skeens would be up before like the Super 2 deadline and stuff like that. And both of those happened. So I guess it could happen. I don't know. I think he's around like 80 innings right now, and he threw about like 110. And to be technical, like there's still like pretty much 2 full months left in the AAA season because they go pretty deep into September. So I don't know. I guess it just depends how he's feeling, how the Pirates are doing. Also, too, like this year's obviously, if they're still in it, it's a lot different than like other years too. To where like other years at the end of the year, it's kind of like who really cares? Let's throw this kid in here and see what he got. But also, you got to kind of balance that with like throwing a 21-year-old rookie who's not going to have much experience past in AAA if you're calling him up early September and stuff like that, and be like, okay, well, finding the right situation for you to kind of break you into, you got to kind of balance that too. Obviously, you're not going to just throw him out there and be like, okay, well, here's the 7th inning and we're up by 2 runs against another playoff caliber team. And then like he goes out there and does what Holderman does. And then you're kind of like, well, I mean, we just shot ourselves in the foot because we put a rookie out there in that kind of situation. So you got to kind of balance that and stuff like that. I mean, it would be fun. It would be electric. It'd be fun to watch. Bubba Chandler in 1-inning outings, you probably hits triple digits at some point. So, but at this point, I'm kind of at the point where I said never say never with this stuff, because we've seen stuff happen this year that we wouldn't have expected. So I guess it could happen. I probably wouldn't, just because just let him round out starting, let him get as much experience and stuff like that, and then just have him go into next year like with Jared Jones with a legit shot to make the rotation kind of thing.
If
an injury comes out,
I think if the Pirates are in it come like August 31st or whatever, you just bring him up. You bring him up.
I mean,
and you stick him in. You ease him in for that first like week or two, but then towards the end of the year, he's your back end bullpen weapon.
I mean,
it's risky.
It is.
I'm with you, but like, how about Colin Holderman? Could you imagine, being September 15th, you're like, we lost the season because of Bubba Chandler?
Hey, you know what? At least you went for it. Like that's my thing. Like if you're in the situation to go for it, you've got to go for it.
To be fair, didn't he close out the Futures game and the breakout game?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he did.
Just saying.
Yeah,
he's prepared. He's ready. He's got that mentality.
If he goes here and like the entire month of August, he just completely shoves in AAA. And like, I mean, you still have, I mean, like Majinski's out right now. If you're having other guys still kind of struggle, and he like is clearly a guy who probably, I mean, can get those outs and stuff like that. Sure, why not? I mean, if you're in it to like kind of win it, then go for it, kind of thing. But like also too, you start adding all these guys to the 40-man and stuff like that. Your roster flexibility for like next year and going forward and stuff like that. You're really at that point, like you're all in on these guys being your depth guys starting next year. So like if someone like Bubba maybe doesn't do well in AAA to start, and he clearly probably is going to need more like a month's worth and stuff like that, you do it. It's nice and everything like that. But then you're also sold into him maybe being like that next guy in the rotation if something happens at the beginning of the year, kind of thing. So,
yeah, no, that's a fair point. I think if you're in a situation where the games matter so much and they're still in it, and it's like, hey, I can upgrade my bullpen from Jake Woodford or Dennis Santana to Bubba Chandler, I'm doing it. Like that's screw. I'll figure out next year.
September, whatever the last Monday is in August and stuff like that. That'd be something like, okay, well, let's revisit that then. Let's see how he's done in AAA, and more importantly, let's see where the Pirates are at that point.
Yeah, that plays a big part.
I'm perfectly okay with like revisiting it like once we get to that point, but like also, like, I want to see Bubba in AAA first to see what he looks like.
You're so selfish.
I know. You and your hoarding prospects in the minors, Murphy.
Right.
Hey,
Well,
I got over them
We-
trading
I
all
wanna
those
see him in
guys.
AAA.
That's a big step for me. I got
we
over
wanna
them
see-
trading.
We want to see him. All right, let's so Bubba in AAA now. He makes his first start in Indianapolis. I would guess probably
He pitched.
around.
What did he pitch? Friday.
He pitched on the 2nd, so he'll probably pitch on the 9th, 8th. So
if he pitched on Friday, the next schedule would be Thursday.
Yeah.
They may push it back a day or something like that just to line up with certain things and stuff like that. I have to check like the indie rotation and stuff like that.
So it should start towards the end of this week.
Yeah.
All right. Who else? Who else we got on the pitching side of things down there?
Pitching side, there weren't too like many like great standout things. I'll bring up a reliever on there. He was another guy that I kind of wanted to see get pushed up to, like, he kind of had done all that he could do in Greensboro, and he's starting to get to the point where he's a little bit of an older guy. Cy Nielsen has kind of been like a intriguing guy, a little bit of like a data darling kind of guy, lower arm slot, interesting fastball, that kind of stuff on there. Finally got called up to Altoona, pitched twice, 4 innings, 8 strikeouts, only gave up 3 hits, 1 walk. He's had a really solid year, and you know, you worry about some guys moving up to AA. That's like, especially for relievers and stuff like that. You know, Jaden Woods was a guy I was like really high on, and he was having a pretty good year in Greensboro, and he's kind of getting blown up every other start in Altoona, which kind of shows like the unpredictable nature of like relievers and stuff like that. That Nielsen stepped right into AA and just kind of shoved both times he pitched last week. So
He kind of took the place of Peralta.
Yeah.
In AA, huh? So like the Peralta was a AA lefty reliever who was pitching really well. And Nielsen coming up and kind of taking that place. I think that's why I know you and Nola were a little upset about losing Peralta, but I think that's like, I'm never gonna lose sleep over losing a guy like that, because in this case here, you just got another Peralta right behind him, right? And I mean, it's a AA reliever. If I can give up a AA reliever for a major league reliever, I'll do it all day. But yeah, no, I mean, he put up good numbers in Greensboro. It was his second time at the level, but yeah, 2.39 ERA, 11.95 strikeouts per 9, 31% strikeout rate. And yeah, good start in Altoona. So
also has not given up a home run all year.
Pitched it in Greensboro too.
Yeah. Impressive.
And he only gave up 1 last year.
He's been like really, so they don't usually do like set like closers and stuff like that, just because a lot of them, like, they all have, even like the relievers have like their own like pitching schedule and stuff like that. So it's hard to line that up to every time they have like a lead and stuff like that. But like, if he's usually given like those kind of certain situations and stuff like that, like big innings. So yeah, he's been solid from like just one of those like 7th, 8th round picks, save a little bit money on, college reliever kind of thing in the draft. But he's just pitched well everywhere he's gone. And it was good to see him finally get promoted, and he's done well since with it. So, like you said, AA relievers, they're kind of just like dime a dozen. You know, like this week he may do good, and like next week he could get blown up and stuff like that. But
yeah, no, I agree. All right, so let's shift over to hitters who had a good week on the offensive side of things, and you can't say Mitch Jebb.
Well,
no Mitch Jebb this week.
Mitch Jebb had like 3 errors in 2 games, and they were like really rough looking errors. So I kind of crossed him off the list immediately after seeing that.
That's what I'm talking about, Murphy.
He would have had Jim got in his head.
So who we got down there? How about I don't know if you want to talk about the new guys or not, but yeah, it's your call.
New guys are here. We could go both new guys. There's another guy we haven't talked about in a while who kind of came on strong this past week. Sammy Siani had 9 hits, a couple stolen bases, a couple doubles, a triple. Really, really good week. Altoona is kind of thin when it comes to like prospects now. Everyone's getting either sent to either getting traded or moved up and stuff like that. But Siani, chance to kind of stand out, and he did. We talked about it like after Charles McAdoo got traded, like probably make until like the new guys got brought in, kind of make a case that Siani was probably your top prospect in the upper levels, top hitting prospect in the upper levels, which probably isn't
wild.
Isn't great, but like at least like he went out and like performed well this week. So he's shown like flashes in Double-A. It's just he hasn't done it consistently yet. Like he some of his numbers look like he's like right there from really taking the next step or really getting noticed and stuff like that. It's just he can't do it for a long enough period, kind of thing. So
yeah. I'll say this, like it's encouraging at least to see because Siani's strikeout rate was his issue for the longest time, and that was keeping his batting average low. But like all the tools were there, but it's like, dude, you've got to make contact, and he finally started doing that this year in Greensboro. And then you see him get bumped up to Double-A, and the strikeout rate went up from where it was, but it's still in a somewhat comfortable spot. What you need to see out of him now is a little bit more. Like he needs to start driving the ball a little bit more. He needs to start that power tool needs to start coming around. He needs to start just hitting the ball better. But I don't think there's a lot of potential here for Sammy Siani to develop into much of anything still. But like it's not over for him. Like there's still like a glimmer of hope there that he can turn into a 4th outfielder, I think.
Yeah, it's more of a longer pick, long shot kind of thing, but intriguing. They always had like an intriguing tool set kind of thing. Like, will he kind of a Matt
could argue
without the power tool set thing? I hope something comes.
I think you could have made an argument that until this year's crop of draft picks came in, like Connor Griffin, that like he was the toolsiest guy in the system,
hitting wise.
Just like all around has all of them, They're not all that great, but like you can like see that they're there, So what about who else we want to talk about? How about Billy Cook? You want to talk about Billy
Cook or Nick York? Either one. They both were fantastic.
Let's lump them together. So it's the new guys: Billy Cook from Baltimore, Nick York from Boston. They both made their debuts in Indianapolis this week.
Cook only played 2 games, but he had 3 doubles and a home run in those 2 games. 5 hits and 2 stolen bases.
Where did he play?
He played left field, right field.
Okay.
So no center field. They had, I think, Sawinski in center field the first game, and then Gorski in center the other game. So I'd much rather give Cook a shot in center than either of those two right now. I get, they have probably want to keep Sawinski, kind of familiar with the position and stuff like that, just in case. But it'd be interesting to see Cook. The home run was to like right center, opposite field kind of thing. It was pretty impressive. It was a little bit out of the strike zone, on the other side of the plate. So it was impressive to see him get out there and get enough on it to send it over the field. I don't think he's going to be. The frame kind of looks like the exit velocities were a little bit below average. So I was kind of like, maybe there's, and then looking at like kind of his frame, I can kind of see where like the power is probably going to be like average-ish kind of thing. So it was even more impressive to see him hit a home run like that. But he looked good. He played a ball off the wall pretty well. So he looks pretty comfortable out there in the outfield. Like I said, now it's just this trade becomes even better if he can play center field at that point.
Yeah. If he can play all 3 outfield spots, then all of a sudden you're looking at a guy who can bring some value to your major league team. So I'm curious to see how well he does. I'm curious to see how long he's there. But I just based off of the numbers here and based off of what the Pirates could utilize on their major league roster, I think there's a pretty good shot we see Billy Cook by the end of the year.
Potentially, yeah. Potentially. So have to find fit out there in the outfield, stuff like that, but probably I wouldn't imagine be too hard.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
All right. So then we also got Nick York, 2020 first round pick out of Boston. He was dealt in the Quinn Priester trade. Quinn Priester made his Boston debut yesterday.
Oof.
Did not do well for AAA in Boston there. But yeah, talk about Nick York. What did you see from him this week?
He played 5 games and he got a hit in each one. So he did really good. 3 doubles. One thing that I noticed, like I went back and watched, like I did that breakdown article of him and notice he uses the others all fields, especially he goes the other way a lot, and like immediately, like his first hit was to right field. He had a bunch of the hits going the other way and stuff like that. So just a really solid hitter. Pretty much exactly what I expected from him, kind of thing. Really good making contact in the zone. Didn't chase too often. Yeah, Pirates needed some prospects in the upper levels, and they got 2, and they immediately hit the ground running with their. Can't really ask for too much more than what they got so far.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the acquisition of Nick York. And yeah, great first week in Indianapolis. He performed really well. Did exactly what you want to see out of him. Hit the ball, good contact, like you mentioned, kind of going to all fields, gap to gap power with some extra base hits. Yeah, it was a good first week for Nick York.
Mm-hmm.
So another guy where I don't know. I think the odds of seeing Cook are probably higher than seeing York this year. But Nick York looks like, I kind of compared him to like Nick Gonzalez if the hit tool actually developed, to like where you kind of want to see it. And he's been very good this year. Between AAA, Pawtucket, and are they still in Pawtucket or are they in Worcester?
Worcester.
Yeah,
whatever.
Whatever they.
Yeah, that one is
up there. And then Indy. So yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, it's good to see. Like if Gonzalez is going to be out long term and stuff like that. I mean, I know they can't add everybody on that. We already talked about bringing Bubba Chandler up and like Billy Cook and stuff like that, but. Man, like if IKF can really play like every single position and play it really well and stuff like that, and York keeps hitting, I'd almost rather have York up there than Triolo if you can have IKF play third base too. So
yeah,
I mean York played left field one of the games too. So
yeah, he can play all over, which is valuable. It's valuable. Yeah, 4 games at second base, 1 in left field this past week. So
yeah.
All right, Murphy. Well, we appreciate you coming on. Again, you can find Murphy on Twitter at _Murphy88.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And then also make sure you're subscribed to the Bucs On Deck Substack. Lots of good stuff over there. Every day you'll find more and more information about the Pirates and their system. And then also the Bucs On Deck podcast coming out every Tuesday. Make sure you're subscribed to that for more weekly prospect talk.
Those selfish people.
Pretty much. You can't have Bubba.
All right, Murphy. On that note, have a good one. Thanks for hopping on here.
Yeah, problem, man. Thanks for having me.
All right. See you, man.
Well, Jim, you know what time this is then. It's time to look forward. This next series coming up, which we've been alluding to, where we'll talk about that coming because there's a lot to kind of talk about here. This is a big series. If you thought Arizona was big, the San Diego Padres is much bigger. And the thing is, like, there's 2 of them they're kind of sandwiched with the Dodgers one in between, which is also pretty big. So it's almost like you look at this as like one giant series with like a little bit of a break. But there's 6 games, 3 of them coming up immediately against the Padres that just have all kinds of implications. So
Yeah,
this one's going to be kind of rough because again, we talked no Mitch Keller, no Paul Skeens. So
no
how
Mitch
we
Keller,
feel?
no Paul Skeens, and the Padres. Padres are playing some really good baseball right now.
Yes, they are.
Their pitching rotation lines up quite nicely this time around too. Michael King is going to be getting the start in game 1, and you may or may not know much about Michael King, but because he was kind of stowed away in the Yankees bullpen for a really long time, but they trade him. He was part of the Soto trade, I think, right? So they trade him over to San Diego. San Diego's like, nope, you're a starter, and he's a pretty good starter. He's
Yeah.
having a really good year himself for San Diego. And then you've got Dylan Cease, who is coming off of a no hitter.
That's
He
all.
pitched a no hitter on July 25th against Washington, and then picked up a win in his start this past week. So like Dylan Cease is on fire. He's won 4 straight starts. He's only given up a run once in his last 4 games, and he's given up just 5 hits in his last 5 starts. So it's 5 hits in his last 4 starts. So yeah, Dylan Cease is kind of on a whole other level right now, pitching just as good as he ever has in his career. So those are your first 2 games there against San Diego, and then you do have a pretty decent opportunity in Game 3 against Randy Vasquez. That's easily San Diego's. I mean, I don't want to say worst starter because they have Martin Perez on their team right now. So
True.
you kind of never know there. But yeah, it's this one doesn't line up as well as that Diamondback series did for the
Right.
Pirates. That's for sure. The Pirates are going to go with Falter, Gonzalez, Ortiz.
And hey, it's one thing we talked about with this rotation. Yes, obviously, when you have Paul Skeens, Mitch Keller, and of course Jared Jones when he's in this rotation, like every series you feel confident because at least one of them is going to be in there, But again, the biggest point is, but the other guys aren't so bad either, right? With Bailey Falter, he's having a pretty good season. Luis Ortiz having a pretty good season, So with Falter there and Luis Ortiz at the Game 3, like it can't not be one. You don't feel as confident because it's like Paul Skeens is pitching. My God, he's the best pitcher on the planet. Probably. And Mitch Keller, we know how good he is, right? There's a difference there, but like you can't roll out the Pirates by any means because it's Bailey Falter and Luis Ortiz and such. I mean, they're still pitching very well.
Yep.
But also at the same sense, the Padres, who they're lining up against is and Michael King, like you mentioned about Dylan Cease. Michael King's given up 7 hits in his past 3 starts. Since June 1st, Jim, he's got a 2.31 ERA and a 197 FIP. Like he's just pitching like he's having a good season, but like he's pitching even stronger of recent also. So again, when you're talking like this is a big series, they got their big dogs on the mound this time. This is like where the offense has to come through, and like the margin of error is reduced. Again, why it's so important. Like when it's a 1-2 run game, are you putting in Colin Holderman there, or are you going with Kyle Nicholas, like you're saying, which I'm there too.
Yep.
Like it's crazy, but I'm there also. He'll probably walk a few guys, but I feel confident that he'll get out of the inning because no one will get a hit off of him. But like this offense has to come through this series. Like to me, it's going to be like if they win this series, it's because the offense did its thing. You saw IKF come through yesterday, like the double, the triple, the offense was there. De La Cruz had, an RBI. De La Cruz hasn't really caught on and done too well offensively since the trade, but it's like you made a trade for these guys. They need to start coming through. The guys are already here, like O'Neal Cruz. You need to come through. Like this is almost like a make it or break it type of series for sure. Your guys need to step up. Brian Reynolds has done a fantastic job. Other guys need to.
Yeah, I mean you can't you can't really afford to lose another series. They're especially against this team because again, San Diego and Arizona are the two teams right now who are looking. They're sitting pretty. San Diego's 4 games ahead of you in the standings. If you lose this series, say if you just take one, then all of a sudden you're 5 games behind San Diego. And then you got to face them again, which means that makes those games even more important. Like you just got to win some games to take some pressure off yourself too. Cause that's, you mentioned it before, like right now, the pressure is so high on all of these games. Like these are basically all playoff games at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you win, it helps you out substantially. If you lose, it hurts you substantially. And it's going to be like that for the foreseeable future, whether it's either going to be like that until the end of the year. Like if they're playing good baseball, it's going to be like that for 2 more months. So it's going to be stressful.
Hold on to your butts, Pirates fans.
The only way it doesn't stay stressful is if they start losing a few series. If they start losing a few series, and it's like these games don't matter as much. But as long as they can reel off some, like that's the biggest thing here. They got to start reeling off some wins. They got to do it soon.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Let's start in the San Diego series. This is a team historically the Pirates have always fared pretty well against.
Well, and that's
and
we're not really previewing it also, but the Dodgers also. Like for some reason, the Pirates have had their numbers, and we're talking like when they've been awful, right? I mean, they swept the Dodgers, and was it 22?
Yeah.
In LA, I think. Mm-hmm. You know, Bednar, of course, had to pitch like 38 innings in one game.
yeah.
Ironically enough, like they have had their number. So again, like if they can just go out there and perform well, and this one's at home also, so maybe a little home cooking for the first series. Wait, my bad. Is it home first? Or
they're home
in
right
San
now?
Diego? Yeah. Okay.
Home. They're home this week.
Next series is in San Diego. Yeah. So again, maybe a little bit of home cooking. Take on San Diego, then the Dodgers. But they do need to win these 2 series, I feel, especially the San Diego one.
It's also kind of unfortunate. I mean, it's a 5-man rotation, so it's just going to happen. But it is a little unfortunate that like you've got 6 games coming up here against San Diego. Paul Skeens doesn't line up to start in any of them.
No.
Marco Gonzalez is going to start 2 of them. 2 of the 6 games against the Padres is going to be started by Marco Gonzalez, and then 2 more by Luis Ortiz. So. It's just kind of the way that the rotation shaped up and coming out of the break, the way they lined it up, they gave Keller and Skeens that extra rest, and what it's done is it's put Marco Gonzalez more at the forefront here, which has been a little bit of a song and dance. Sometimes he's on, sometimes he's off. I still trust him. Like as far as the 5th starter goes, like Marco's fine.
Yeah,
he's fine.
Absolutely.
But yeah, he's got to come through this week. He's gonna face the Padres twice. And he's going up against Dylan Cease both times, most likely. So yeah, Marco, we're gonna need you. We're gonna need you to earn that paycheck this next 2 weeks.
If there's any some saving grace, Tatis is on the IL.
I guess, yeah.
I just try to throw in something that make us feel a little bit happy before we leave.
But on top of like Manny Machado, all of a sudden is starting.
We don't need to talk about
Manny. Yeah, like God, this is a good team. This is a good Padres team, and like they're you look up and down the lineup. Jurickson Profar just having like the season of his career. Cronenworth's having a decent year, but again, Machado's really turned it on here lately. Jackson Merrill, who is going to finish 2nd in Rookie of the Year voting. Get to see him. Padres fans think that he's going to win, but that's not going to happen. But yeah, you could see Jackson Merrill for the first time. But yeah.
Yep.
For those people on TikTok, if you're commenting, sorry about that. Your comments I can't put on the screen. I see them. Just you can't put them on the screen. Unfortunately, the software doesn't allow that.
But at any rate, we'll find out. I mean, it's baseball. It's why you play the games. So hopefully on NS9 Live this week, we'll be talking favorably. But until then, we out of here. Anything else you want to add, say?
No, I think that's all. Post-game show tomorrow. Hopefully we're giving away some sandwiches. But yeah, it's a big series. They got to take 2 out of 3 here, and a sweep would be much appreciated.
Very much.
Yep.
Cool. Well, let's get out of here. Before we do, as always, appreciate everyone for watching, listening to the podcast later. Appreciate you listening there as well. Go ahead, like, subscribe for the video on YouTube. Rate us if you want on the podcast. I want to say a few things here also. Join the Discord. The link is in our description here. Join the Discord. We're going to announce something today. Pretty cool. Giving giveaways all this month. Pirate tickets. And the only way to be in there, the only way to win is to be in our Discord. So join the Discord. The announcement will come out here later today. Until then, though, I guess we'll see you later. We out of here, Jim?
Yeah, let's get out of here.
Bye.
See you guys.
Hey, you all. Thank you for watching. I know we try to provide the most entertaining content that we can, and we'd love to spread it to as many people as possible. So I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but if you could take the 5 seconds to like this video and subscribe to the page, it helps out so much more than you know. Thank you, and let's go Bucs.